So welcome to the Naval News segment today. Today, we have to put the first story in some context. So I'm going to begin by talking about this ship here. This is the Philippine ship BRP Sierra Madre. It's a ship that the Philippines ran aground, they said intentionally, in 1996 or sometime in the 90s on one of the small islands in the Spratly Island chain, one that is claimed by the Philippines. And the intent of running the ship aground was to turn it into a makeshift outpost. So this outpost needs to be resupplied continuously with food, fresh water, and all that stuff, because there's just a few people on board, watching or maintaining a watch on Philippines' claim on this area of the Spratly Island chain. And this is what we're going to talk about first, is China attacked one of the resupply vessels that was bringing food and water to this ship. And this piece written by Renee Acosta from USNI News broke this story this morning, or was it yesterday afternoon? It says China Coast Guard attacks resupply mission for Filipino troops on BRP Sierra Madre. And we got some pretty dramatic video of this for you too, but let's read a little bit from the piece first. From Manila, Philippines, 2 Chinese Coast Guard vessels launched water cannons onto 2 Filipino boats during a resupply mission, a move that prompted the Philippine government to file a diplomatic protest against China. Philippine Foreign Affairs Secretary Theodoro Locsin said on Thursday. The incident occurred on Tuesday, so that's 3 days ago, the time of this recording. Forced 2 civilian ships to abort the resupply mission till the Philippine military, marking Beijing's escalation of its harassment of vessels of maritime waters where it disputes Philippine ownership. So even though Philippines has claimed the atoll that the BRP is on, China says, not anymore, it's not. It belongs to us now. So the attack was on 2 Filipino boats, the UM-1 and UM-3, occurred outside the Second Thomas Shoal. That's the specific shoal that they ran the ship aground on and turned it into an outpost. The attack broke the outrigging of one of the boats, prompting both to head back to Palawan. And here's the video here. Let's see if I can go full screen. If we watch it on Twitter, maybe we can go full screen. All right. Here we go, full screen. So this is from the perspective of the Philippine boat. There's the Coast Guard. They're shooting the water cannons at them. They're shining the spotlight right into the control house, so they can't see. That's deliberate. You can hear them throttling up, trying to get out of the way. So this is all, I don't even know if the Chinese realize that this is a military resupply. That's really the escalation here. China has done this to fishermen of all nations in the South China Sea, spraying the water cannons on them, trying to get them to go away. And it's possible they did not realize that they just attacked a military resupply convoy, if you will, of 2 ships. And so this is a new level of belligerency by China. And I can tell you from what little I know about China, they won't see this as an escalation. And from their perspective, this is their waters that the Philippines Navy should not be in. But that's what's happening here. That happened on Tuesday, and it did damage one of the boats, and the boats had to be turned around. So that BRP Sierra Madre did not get resupplied. Some context here, they are doing these war games right now. So let's read a little bit about the war games. While the Armed Forces of the Philippines has not commented on the incident, it happened during the biggest land, sea, and air exercise, Ajax Daggett. It also coincided with the conclusion of bilateral talks between the United States and the Philippines in Washington, D.C. So there's some other factors going on here that may have led up to this. Were both declared a mutual defense treaty between the 2 countries covers attacks in the South China Sea. So that is interesting. This is a much more firm military agreement compared to what we have with Taiwan. Like, this mutual defense treaty literally means that if the Philippines get attacked in the South China Sea, the United States will see that as an attack on the United States. that is, I don't know how smart an idea that is, because that could trigger military options that we don't want to do. I don't know. What do you guys think about that? Was this a good call? Now, we've had this mutual defense treaty with Philippines for years. This is not new. We're just reaffirming it, saying, hey, this also applies to South China Sea violence. Yeah, I don't know. Because, yeah, I don't know. I think that could lead to war. It's possible. That's what it's for. I mean, that's exactly what it's for. Yeah, what do you guys think? Should we let China bully everyone? Yeah, I don't know. Should we? Is it worth it? Is it worth fighting for? Yeah, I don't know. Let's see. What else does he say here? In the past, China has intimidated and attacked Filipino fishing boats inside the Philippine maritime waters. Yeah. Yeah, like I said, this behavior is not new. What is new this time is that this was a military resupply to BRP Sierra Madre. And we'll see what fallout comes of it. Maybe nothing. Maybe nothing. So I think the question everyone that's involved needs to ask themselves, I'm talking about Americans, Philippines, Vietnamese, Australians, what is the red line? Because China is going to continue to do this until someone stops them. And so, you know, at what point is it so belligerent that it's worth, you know, attacking them, essentially? At what point is that? You guys want a preemptive strike? Okay, well, all right. Let's move on to the next story. All right, let's talk about the USS Connecticut. She's back underway again. They finished all of her inspection and temporary repairs, and she is at sea at the time of this recording. So we're going back to USNI News. Sam Legrone writes, USS Connecticut underway off of Guam after undergoing repairs. So the U.S. attack submarine struck an underwater seamount last month. It was off the coast of Guam more than a month ago. The damages, for more than a month, the damage was assessed. 2 defense officials confirmed to the news today. So here's what's probably happening here is, obviously they got the dome from Seattle. They had another one and they put it on her. Okay. Great job doing that without going into dry dock. That's a miracle. The way that they did that. So now what she probably is what we call an LID boat. So it's a limited in-depth boat, which means you're not allowed to go below certain depths. And what I expect is happening right now is she's probably doing some test sea trial like dives, you know, down to periscope depth and back up again, then down to 150 feet and back up again, you know. And if she can stay submerged safely without any problems in those limited depth windows, she'll then do a submerged transit to Bremerton, Washington, back to her home port, where there's enormous facilities that can repair everything. She can go into dry dock if she wants to. She has everything that she needs in Bremerton. But I wouldn't be surprised if she pulls back into Guam and does some more inspections, because right now, I think that she hasn't left the vicinity. I think she's in the area of Guam right now doing these test dives over and over again. And today being Friday, I wouldn't be surprised if she's not going to transit immediately to Bremerton, that she pulls back into Guam and for the weekend and does some inspections. And we'll see, you know, we'll keep you appraised of the story, but that's what's going on right now, is that they were able to have enough confidence in the hull integrity of the Connecticut now to at least let her go submerge again. So good job doing that. See if there's any other things in here. We want to talk a little bit about the stand down. Here we go. The Connecticut's underway comes as the submarine force has announced a navigation stand down. So let me tell you what that is. The Navy has these safety stand downs all the time. There's usually at least one a year, and then there's one after every major incident. So like whenever the ships collided in 2017, 2018, we had 2 Arleigh Burkes on 2 different occasions collide into things. They had a navigation stand down for that. Well, they're doing a navigation stand down again for this. And what that is everybody involved in navigation will not do anything for at least one day. And some of these stand downs can last a week. And you just do nothing but training on the basics of whatever it is. In this case, navigation. So I imagine there's a lot of, you know, quartermasters, ANAVs, navigators that are just busting out the books again and saying, remember how we do observations? Remember how we take a fix? Remember how we plot course with dead reckoning and how we use our instruments for underway submerged operations. They're just going through all those books again, lectures again, just reminding everybody. And this lasts, like I said, it could be a couple days, but it's a real pain in the butt because you still have work to get done. You have charts to prep and things like that. And none of that is happening. No one's allowed to pick up a tool. The only thing that anyone should have in their hands is a notepad and a pencil, and they need to be learning. That's what these stand downs are. And from an enlisted point of view, it really feels like punishment. And I think part of it may be supposed to be, but it's also important from a top down, point of view that everybody is on the same page so that this doesn't happen again immediately because some knucklehead on the Atlantic side of things were making the same mistakes that the Connecticut was making. Which, by the way, the Navy has not revealed exactly what the finding was. We know what the consequences were. They fired a bunch of people and they have this navigation stand down, but they still haven't told us other than, navigation safety procedures fell short of what our standard was. This very general statement about how they navigated on board the Connecticut. And so that's what this means. This is just day-long training, and it could be 5 days long, And then it says here that they relieved the captain due to loss of confidence following the collision. Yeah. And they probably won't put out exactly what they found. And I'm kind of glad for that because you don't want to drag the guy's name through the mud. He's already lost his job. I'm talking about the captain of the Connecticut here. Yeah. So that's what's going on with her. Let's see what the chat says here. Fisher says, we need to have a U.S. ships update. Those international waters in the South China Sea are those drones. Could see China picking those off. Yeah. We should do the fleet tracker. I'll do the fleet tracker again on Monday, I think. Okay. I always like to wait till they have the fleet tracker updated. And I don't think it's been updated. Yeah. This is from November 15th. This is 4 days old. If you just want to take a quick look at the picture, we won't go over like we used to do every single fleet. But as you can see, the Carl Vinson's over here, not much has changed. They're doing some war games. It seems like the war games now are just continuous in the Pacific. Right now they're doing that. What do they call it? Ajax. Ajax is going on right now. All right, let's go on to the final story of today. This is a personal favorite of mine, and I'll get into why that is. But from Jane's, written by Gareth Jennings, Boeing delivers its first Poseidon plane to Norway. This is going to be the first of, I think, 5. I don't know. Let's see what the piece says. Boeing has delivered its first P-8A Poseidon Maritime Multi-Mission Aircraft, or MMA, to Norway on 18 November. So that was yesterday. It's named Victor after the Norse god. And it's aircraft 9582. That's how detailed Jane's gets with its reports. The specific airframe number will tell you which one they got. So the Royal Navy, the Royal Norwegian Air Force, or RONAF, is receiving 5 total planes. So they'll be getting the rest of them next year. And I believe the final delivery is sometime in 2023. Now, my connection to this is not only is the 142 Squadron getting these, but the very famous, and some would say notorious, 333 Squadron, based out of Andoya, Norway, is getting these planes as well to replace their aging P3s that are aging out. And those guys are badass. I absolutely love the 333rd Squadron. I've worked with them many times in my career, and they provided us with great intel. And I'll tell you why, just in some general terms. Whenever the Royal Navy or the United States Navy operates in the Barents Sea, we always work with these guys before we even get in theater. And they're sanitizing entire areas of the Norwegian Sea and the Barents Sea with fields and fields of sonar buoys, saying, hey, just so you know, and I believe it's still this way, but it used to be the Russians would keep what we call a gatekeeper submarine right on the horn of the Kola Peninsula, right where it transitions from the Norwegian Sea to the Barents Sea, whatever line that is. They would usually keep an attack boat somewhere in that vicinity. These guys would go out and find that attack boat, tell us where he's at so that we didn't get snapped up going into the Barents Sea. But they did much more than that too. They would take entire areas of the Barents Sea, turn that into a sonar buoy field, and say, here's who's over there. If you want to go record them, knock yourself out. And we did. I mean, a lot of the times our intel of ships that were being deployed or at sea and their location came from the 333rd. And so my hat's off to them. I'll be sending them a special Christmas video for their annual celebration here this week. But I wanted to mention them today in this news segment. These guys are the best MPAs that I've ever worked with, including the Americans, including the Royal Air Force Nimrods. These guys, the 333rd specifically, absolutely the best submarine hunters that aren't on submarines. And it was a pleasure working with them. All right, that's it for the naval news today, and we'll see you guys next time. Don't go anywhere. We're going to have some more gameplay coming up, okay?